How's it going, John?
Good. How are you, Craig?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I wanted to, we got a lot to cover today because we're recording kind of two sessions in a row. One thing I wanted to kind of show, and
Yeah.
we didn't talk about this, is because we're going to talk about Google AI browser in a bit. I wanted to show,
Yeah, go ahead.
let me see if I can,
Perplexity's comment browser.
yeah, if I can find it here.
I haven't messed around with it yet, but I think most people should have access to it now.
There it is. Sorry, because it's not. Yeah. Anyway, it's a different share window. Here
Yeah.
it is. Um, and I know this doesn't look good. I'm just kind of going to show a quick demo here of what kind of things it can do quickly. I'm here logged in to Toronto Start's backend site, and I'm on the blog for Silicon Scoop, and I want to schedule a blog post. And this is kind of a pain in the ass thing that I have to do. So here's what I'm telling it. Here's the command I'm giving it. You're logged in TorontoStarts.com WordPress site. You are on the drafts page. I need you to find the article exploring antimatter qubit. Add the following URL episode, the URL to the episode file, and then schedule it to be released on the 6 a.m. of October 14th.
Cool.
So I'll just tell it to do that. And so this is pretty cool. And we'll watch it do that now. And hopefully it'll succeed. It seems to do that fairly well. Sometimes it does things really well. Sometimes not so much. I think it depends on how many variables there are. Like when I'm working with it with email, it's pretty good as long as it understands the variables involved. As you can see, it found the post. It opened the post up. It is scrolling through the post to find out where to put the URL. It found that it's put the URL to the podcast episode in that field. Now it's scheduling the post to be posted. Like you were asking before when some of these are coming out. This one is being posted October 16th. I think I told it to do, maybe 15th. It'll tell us in a second. And so I have about 30 more to go that post like this, because doing this manually is a pain in the butt. So I tried doing this, and it's okay. It's a little slow, as you can see, but it does do the job. So it's just something, if you have complicated tasks, you can get it, like they always do. You can get it to order tickets, or you can get it to do this, you get it to do that. Kind of things you might be able to get it to do. Like if you have to log into sites that give you free credits every day, you could get something like this to go in and do that automatically pretty easy, or some other scripts. There are other things to do, but this was just a somewhat complex example of find the article I'm looking for on this, find the link I'm looking for on this page, open it up, edit it, add these fields, schedule it, and it's done. Like, as you can see now, it's done. This post is now scheduled. I'll just click this to see. October 14th at 6 a.m.
And what happens when it has to log into multiple things? Can it handle that?
I haven't told it to go log in here and then go log in here and then go log in here yet. This was a just a complicated demo. I thought, saying, oh great, you got to fill in a few fields, you got to find them where they are and do it, and it did a pretty good job. And it's faster than it was the first time I did it, so I think it's kind of learning a little on getting around the site. But anyway, that was just a short comment browser demo.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. It's I'm curious how it'll handle multiple tasks at once. So like if you're telling it to schedule a bunch of articles, anyways, I'm curious how it scales is my question.
Yeah, and that was my issue. Like if they had an API, then I'd be laughing, because I could tell it, say, okay, go do this one. I could give it, figure out everything, use N8N or something, just call it, create a spreadsheet, say, go do this.
Yeah.
Or maybe I can give it a spreadsheet and say, hey, here are all the things, go schedule them. I haven't tried that to see if it can do those things yet, but those are the types of things, I would be interested, among other things. And yeah, I'd be curious to see how it does the more complex, specific types of things like you're mentioning.
Yeah.
Go log in here, get this piece of information. I don't know. Let's just say you like
I
Grant. Go
What I
log
want to
in.
use it for is I want to use it for shopping on Amazon. So I want to use it to help me find the best product at the lowest price, and I wonder if it can do that.
That's a great question.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. Yeah, I think I might mess around with it on the weekend.
Okay. So we're about to get started, but I might as well put this going on in the background. Which I'm going to do. Do you know what product you wanted to look for?
No, I don't.
All right.
No, that's why I was going to do it on the weekend.
Find me the best point and shoot camera. Best rated
and lowest price, or on sale or something. I don't know.
And shoot camera available on Amazon.ca for the lowest price. Must have 20 megapixels or higher and 5x zoom or more. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what it does. That's going on. Let's get to work with some of the stuff we want to talk about.
Yeah, let's do it.
I might be distracted as it's searching right now, by the way.
Oh.
Interesting. We'll see what happens. And that would be a good demo as well. But let's get into it. I do not have the right banner up. Let's go. This is the right banner. And we are talking. This is a favorite thing for you.
It is.
Today, we are talking about Meta's big leap into the future of wearable AI, the Meta Ray-Ban display glasses. These aren't just sunglasses with a screen. They combine augmented reality, gesture-based neural controls, and AI-driven features into a stylish pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses. What's going on here?
Yeah, so this is cool. So this is different than some of the glasses that we've covered before. Because this uses a waveguide technology as opposed to little LCDs or LCD screens. But this is cool. So instead of constantly pulling out your phone, these, and they're going for about $800 US, put a tiny screen right in your field of vision. So think of it like having a small TV floating in the corner of your eye. And you control it using a wristband that reads your muscle signals. And I'm going to pause here because I feel the wristband is the big technological advancement, not the display, not the glasses themselves. So the wristband reads your muscle signals when you move your fingers. So you don't need to touch anything or talk out loud. So think of it like this. You have a personal assistant that shows you texts, gives you directions, translates languages in real time, gives you closed captioning, and lets you take photos, all while kind of looking normal, right? So just to kind of get into some of the details here, they utilized a 600 by 600 pixel, which is about 0.36 megapixel. But the cool thing about these ones is they're full color, and it's a liquid crystal on silicon, or LCOS. And that's paired with, and I just touched on it earlier, the reflective waveguide system. So the display itself achieves an impressive peak brightness of 5,000 nits, which is very much brighter than any smartphone or even the Apple Watch Ultra. So you can read it in direct sunlight. So the way that the waveguide technology works, it employs a reflective rather than diffractive optic, which provides kind of a superior light efficiency and allows the tiny microdisplay to remain small, cool, and power efficient. So it's really, really cool. That it's more designed for glanceable interactions rather than prolonged viewing, like the other glasses that we've covered, where you get a 200-inch screen. It's like a monitor on your face, or a projector screen on your face. But what are your thoughts on this, Craig?
I think we are entering new territory where as far as I'm concerned, this is glass holes 2.0.
Okay.
I mean, as a technology, I think it's cool, but humans are not cool. So, if you do recall when Google Glasses first came out, there was bars and all these places that banned them. You weren't allowed to have them in there. People were
Yeah.
getting beaten up and all this stuff. And so it was one of those things. And, but I think we've come a long way as far as that is concerned. But at the same time, people don't like not knowing if they're being recorded.
Yes. But my question to you is, are people gonna, obviously there's gonna be people that are more observant than others, but and yes, there'll be problems that are caused. There's problems nowadays being caused with people who pull.
So that aside, I agree. What you're saying is, will people know that you're doing it or whatnot? Eventually, yes, but eventually everyone will have it and no one will care. Just like everything else, people are always recording on their smartphones and stuff. At first it was intrusive. Now no one cares. So eventually no one's going to care, but it's just going to take a while. But on the other flip side of it, this is pretty cool technology. The 5,000 nits of brightness in your glasses there, that is very impressive.
Yeah.
What else it can do, like the AI involved, as we get more and more connected, and you and I deal with AI agents and tools that can do all these cool things, that, as long as it can connect itself, because we're talking about potentially being a phone-less device.
Well, I don't know if it can be phoneless given its lack of connectivity. We're getting there. I agree, yes, but like technology is going to have to shrink a little bit more, I think.
Yeah. So right now you definitely need the phone to do a bunch of stuff, but once you're connected to the internet and AI, you could just be walking around and doing stuff with your glasses and do all sorts of cool ethical and unethical things. But
Yeah.
to get back to your question, which I totally threw aside, was the cool thing about the wristband. So you think the wristband, because previous things use either a wired controller or hand gestures that the cameras have to see, that the wristband is more intuitive and allows for more fine-tuned control?
Yeah, let's talk about this. So it contains a bunch of sensors that detect electrical signals that are generated by muscle activity in the wrist when users make subtle finger movements. So signals that occur even before visual motion happens. That's the cool part. So the system is using machine learning algorithms to translate these muscle signals into digital commands, with processing happening locally on device for privacy protection, which is cool. So unlike camera-based hand tracking, the EMG doesn't require line of sight. It works effectively in low light conditions. And it's non-invasive kind of thing as far as like people aren't going to notice. So I feel like that's the more advancement here is this EMG or SEMG interface.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. And until I actually use it, I mean, we've heard of new interfaces all the time that are going to change everything. The Apple Pencil, this, that, gestures, Newton, whatever, and they never quite take. So we'll see how this one does.
Yeah.
Because this likens back to the PlayStation Glove, which didn't quite go very far, but it's just a wristband. So I'm just seeing we've come a long way technology-wise. Will it actually
You mean
interpret
the
things?
Nintendo Power Glove?
Wasn't it the Sony? Oh, was it Nintendo Power Glove? Maybe it's Nintendo. Yeah, you're probably right.
I had it. Yeah. It was fun.
The thing I like about this, and most of them do this, I get ripped for this all the time, is that these have prescription lens support ranging from +4 to -4.
Yeah.
So correcting most vision support. So you're okay with that for most people. A lot of these things you have to dig far along to find out. And a lot of them have the different dials to tune in and whatever at the top. But the more you get into these things trying to look and be small, you don't want those dials. You want it either software or to be automatic and whatnot, which is kind of what I was getting at before. Battery performance, 6 hours for glasses, 18 hours for the neural band wristband device.
Yeah. So I'm not as excited because it's meta, just because I feel like it's more of a closed environment. Although they did say that they were going to allow for third-party apps, I want something that's more open, like an Android-based type glasses, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and we already know Meta's previous version have been hacked, their first version, and we've seen what some of the people can do with real-time streaming apps to Instagram and identifying people around them, and then finding their social media and going up, say, hey, I remember you from this conference that they were never at, and that kind of stuff. This is going to take that to a next level.
Yeah.
When you're and some point that's a benefit when you're the dream is to be able to go in a room and the name of your contact that you're looking at pops up so you don't forget, and maybe some contact details like it's their birthday next week or what have you, that so you get just like an ideally a database, not necessarily super intrusive where it says let's scrape everybody's face in this room and find them in social media and do weird things to them. So it depends what you're using them for. But when you say closed, that's why I say it was hacked pretty easily already. And Meta open sources their AI stuff, so it'll be curious to see with its AI
I
integration
know
whether
it open sources its AI stuff, but I feel like it would advance much quicker if it was Android based. That's just me though. And you and I have never used, or at least I haven't, Llama. How good is Llama? Like, or can you use other AIs?
well, I use Llama for different things, and there's a lot of AIs out there based on it. Numatron and a bunch of others are based on Llama. There's Llama engines trained specifically. So it depends on what you're doing. Yeah, I don't use it a lot for different things, but I do use it. And just because eventually I get lazy and say, okay, just use OpenAI or just use Claude or just use whatever.
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4, but I use Open Router and I have access to all of them. And it's pretty interesting when you start using the different ones that are really good at different things, or even running workflows through DeepSeek and through OpenAI and through Perplexity, for example, and then mixing the output at the end to combine with something better.
Yeah.
So so that's why you say back to this. Again, I don't know if I want Android on my glasses. So that's why, I mean, the connectivity has to be there. It has to be an open API. It has to be able to talk to different things so it can interface with different apps. So then you can have it on Android, or you can have it on iPhone, or you can have it on whatever. So but do we want the glasses themselves to have that overhead? Because as soon as you have that overhead versus say whatever type thing, hopefully they've built that's fast and doesn't have to support all these apps and doesn't. That's why I think it's better to start specifically with a glasses-based operating system that strips out all these other things, and then we'll maybe move along to a point where we'll have on glasses apps.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you saw this morning on TLDR, Apple scrapping their vision goggles and going the glass route like Meta. So Meta is really onto something.
Well, I talked about they scrapped their vision goggles ages ago. We got all roasted for it, and then people they're still selling them. Yeah, they're not making them anymore. And then they realized that the stuff ran out. Then they talked about the version 2, and then there's some of those apparently coming out, but the whole plan is being scrapped for glasses. Yeah, it's like it just wasn't a fit. No one wants that on their head. It's isolating. It's all those things. It just doesn't work for most people in society. The concept is cool. But let's get back into the gestures controls. I'm going through here are some of the stuff that they're touting. Cooking assistance displays recipes step by step. So social acceptability enhanced by maintaining Ray-Ban Wayfarer aesthetic while embedding advanced technology. I don't know if that's good. Gesture controls, hardware advancement. There was a couple applications here I thought. Travel integration, if features include translation, cultural context, and turn-by-turn navigation directly in the field of vision. Professional applications go real-time captioning, multilingual meetings, and hands-free productivity tools. So some of these sound pretty good. Designed with adaptive transitions when you're going from indoor to outdoor. I mean, if I can get prescription in these, it sounds like they're not going to be that much more expensive than my prescription glasses. So why,
Yeah, you know what? I think I might buy them still, but we can't buy them in Canada for a while. But like this is a decent technology. It's color, unlike there's another one that have waveguide, and you and I talked about it. I don't think we talked about it on the show, but it's only in green. So this is full color, which is awesome. But we didn't talk about the failure during the demo, which was kind of funny. Because you were talking about the cooking stuff that it can do, and during a cooking demonstration, it wasn't listening to what I do first. He couldn't pick up his WhatsApp video call, and they blamed it on Wi-Fi congestion. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, we've seen a bunch of crashes and demos recently. Infamously, if you're in the gaming space, you saw the Conan live playing Borderlands 4 crash, and he crashed the game. The live promo stream and stuff, and so it's the danger of live demos. As much as I don't like what Apple does now for their presentations, because it's all pre-recorded stuff, everything. You don't have the crashes. You don't have the what I'm going to say, the magical moments that happen when you do it live.
Yeah, you know what though, props to Mark Zuckerberg, because it's not like he's demoing a known technology that's been around for years. He's demoing this advanced technology, right? And things can go wrong, especially with something that's still not released yet. But it's at the point where it could be released. So definitely props to him for it, though.
I think they're out. Best Buy, Sunglass Hut.
No, but when he did the demo, they weren't out.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fine. And you have to do that. But let's give him props. He's not pulling a Rabbit R1 that looks like it's going to be this amazing product and delivers junk, right?
So glad I didn't buy that.
So, we're much farther along, and I appreciate that we're moving technology ahead. And, I'm taking the what if I'm a jerk attitude when I look at some of these things and we talk about them and say, well, it can be abused for all these things. But the technology is cool and moving places that really can take productivity to another level. And just imagine, now with everyone vibe coding and doing whatever, having these glasses, have a little screen saying, hey, update my app to do this, and you have the little coding scrolling, and you're telling your agent to book an appointment while you're like, when you have the processing and the agents and the stuff working, and you can do this stuff just when you're walking, like, your life can change.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to moving beyond the phone, as it were, and to seeing where this kind of technology take us. This is an exciting moment in personal technology. The Meta Ray-Ban display glasses mark a start to everyday, practical, augmented reality. Whether you want hands-free communication, smarter navigation, or real-time translation, the future is literally sitting on your face. Let us know what you think. You're going to run out and get one of these, or not interested? So after they finish their lawsuit and they get to keep Chrome, all of a sudden, like 2 days after, Google announces their Chrome AI, which they say is revolutionizing web browsing, and it's out to compete with OpenAI's browser and Comet, which we were just demoing, and a few other things. What do you think about this, John?
Yeah. So here's something I never thought I'd say. Google just announced a major AI update, and I'm actually not annoyed. So let's talk about what you're getting here, because it's pretty interesting. So first, there's Gemini that's right in your browser. So you click an icon or use a keyboard shortcut, and you can ask questions about whatever web page you're on. Let's say you're reading a recipe for banana bread, but you need to make it gluten-free. So instead of opening a new tab and Googling substitutions, you just ask Gemini in Chrome, and it modifies the recipe using the page you're already on. Simple, but super helpful, right? The other thing is that it works across multiple tabs. So if you're planning a vacation with flights open in one tab, hotels in another, activities in another, you can tell Gemini to combine everything into one itinerary, which is super cool. So you don't have to manually copy and paste or keep notes in a separate document. And the last one, and this is really exciting, is it can search your browser history with natural language. So you know that feeling when you saw something online last week and you cannot for the life of you remember what website it was on? Well, now you can just ask, for example, what was the site where I saw the walnut desk last week? And Gemini is going to find it. Now, is this revolutionary technology? No. But is it solving annoyances and real world problems that are going to help us? Absolutely. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm a fan of AI tools.
Okay.
And, I don't want, all the flack about this and that, but like, let's face it, they're here and they're here to stay. And the more integrated we can do, we were testing Comet at the beginning and it found something it thinks is the best, I guess. It kind of paused there. It might have just stalled out in the background, but I'm looking at the AI browsers and when it can do more of these things, when you can ask it where you saw this, or you can say, is this the cheapest price? Or, is this the official MCP server for this thing? Like as an example, as a developer,
Yeah.
And Gemini can go look and say, oh no, you want this GitHub repo, not this GitHub repo. Or that kind of stuff, the better. And the more it can now automate, say, hey, go to this site and do a couple of things, the better. So I'm a big fan of moving this forward. It all just becomes a question of what happens, with the data, and do we care?
My biggest concern with all of this going forward, and this is a caveat for everything, all AI stuff, is how much can we trust the answers that it's giving us, that it's accurate? And going forward, this is me, Conspiracy John here, is how much is it being controlled for us? So like in the background, is it telling us that yes, this is the cheapest camera, but that's because we want you to buy that one kind of thing, if that makes sense?
Yeah. When does it become exactly that? And how are you going to tell it apart? And is it an algorithm that's hidden in the background, or is it something, where it's in the front, where it shows that this is an ad or a sponsored post or whatever? Yeah. And a lot of times these AI summaries get it wrong because they get their data from, not the best sources in the world.
Yeah. That's a whole other problem other than a whole other concern. But going back to this, I think that, this is just another Comet browser, which is great. I've never really messed around with Gemini too much. You know me, I love Claude. But I'm curious to know, has it rolled out, or it's coming out in October, right? They're going to start rolling it out.
Yeah, it's coming out soon. It's not in Canada yet for sure. I keep looking. And
what is it? Chrome 17? Is that the version?
Look for Gemini button when you update it. I'm trying to see. Stage rollout, assure stability, feedback, gradual adaptation for release in October 2025. I don't see a version number in my notes. So it is rolling out. I just think not here yet.
Yeah.
And because I have a Google corporate account, I have to go in probably to our Google admin and enable it on our user browsers and all that stupid hassle. Have you ever done that?
I have to laugh at this. I asked if it's version 17. I think they're on version like 140. So I apologize. I'm probably going to get roasted for that, but
yeah, I'm sure that is not I didn't even catch that you said version 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I
anyway,
think I think this is great. The question becomes, who do you trust? Who's going to leapfrog the other? Chrome has an advantage because it has such a high install base. So if it can do a fraction of what some of these other ones can do, if it does the same, whatever, people aren't going to leave. So they're going to potentially keep their market share rather than losing it, or more of it to Perplexity and ChatGTP and the other ones. What do you think? And I think specifically they didn't come out with this before the FTC ruling, so they didn't get punished because the other companies were eating their.
Yeah. Well, but it's all strategic with Google, right? So, I think all these companies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the bigger companies, they have to be strategic because otherwise, they get in trouble.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in waiting to see what this rolls out and what it'll let me do. I'm always interested in a browser that can do stuff for me, especially if you can connect it via like an MCP or whatnot, and then give it commands via APIs, because that gets more and more exciting for me when I can get it to update my website specifically with weird esoteric fields that I can't get at programmatically and that kind of stuff. Then it changes things. So love to know what you think. Google embedding Gemini Assistant, Smart Tab Management, enhanced security, agentic browsing, and revolutionizing web interactions with measured, user-focused artificial intelligence integration. And I'm really looking forward to that agentic browsing, because I think that's really going to take my stuff to the next level. Let us know what you think. Are you going to be jumping on this, or you've already left Chrome to something else? Let us know. Today, we're going to talk about the historic NVIDIA Intel alliance, a $5 billion bet to fuse NVIDIA's AI acceleration with Intel's x86 ecosystem, re-engineering the data centers, PCs, and global chip supply chain overnight. I'm not quite sure that's what's happening here. In my opinion, there's some other stuff going on. But John, what do you think of this?
Yeah, well, let's just overarch it with Taiwan. But so on September 18th, NVIDIA, which is a company that right now basically owns the AI revolution, they've announced that it's investing $5 billion into Intel, which is its former rival, right? Like, it used to be its former rival, and now they've been struggling so badly that a lot of people, even you and I, wondered if the company is going to survive, or if it'll have to file for bankruptcy. So this isn't just a financial investment here. NVIDIA and Intel are essentially partnering to co-develop entirely new products. So custom data center CPUs for NVIDIA's AI infrastructure, and consumer PC chips that fuse Intel processors with NVIDIA graphics at the package level, which is really cool. When this was announced, Intel stock jumped 22% in a single day, which is the biggest one-day surge since 1987. Now, you talked about this isn't just cash, right? So to put this into perspective, this isn't just about a cash injection, because it's more about legitimacy and survival, that Intel desperately needed a major customer to validate its struggling foundry business, and NVIDIA became that anchor client, right? But what makes it interesting is that they've been working on this secretly for almost a year. So this wasn't just some sudden rescue, right? This was strategic planning. And we don't have to get into politics here, but the Trump administration wasn't even involved, despite what you may think. So
yeah, I agree that they weren't involved, but I would not say that
they didn't have influence,
that it wasn't part of Jensen Huang's thinking.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Because they a couple of months ago, they want to sell their chips to China. They got in trouble selling chips to China that they weren't supposed to. They made another deal with Trump to get around all that and they're like, okay, the U.S. government is investing, I think, $5 billion in Intel as well, because and people were shocked, and I wasn't, because they're been losing market share forever. They've had nothing but disaster after disaster. They did the foundry versus Intel, the x86 maker. So we'll build anybody's chips in our foundry and we'll design stuff. So they split that up, and now the US needs to keep chip manufacturing in the US. And to me, it's just like a buyout, like the bank buyout. They couldn't have failed the banks or the auto manufacturers to go to business. They can't afford to lose the chip manufacturing in North America. So they get some money in there. NVIDIA's been working on this deal and saying, okay, we want manufacturing in the US. This is going to give me a lot more weight on the tariff, saying, listen, we're putting $5 billion into manufacturing and work with Intel and keep them afloat here to, so back off on what we're doing on Taiwan over there. That's why I'm saying it wasn't necessarily motivated, but I'm sure it was not non-existent factor, how much and whatnot, because of stuff.
Yeah, but I think the bigger factor here is Taiwan, because
yeah.
So we all know that NVIDIA doesn't manufacture its own chips, right?
Yep. They use TSMC.
Yeah, they use TSMC, right, in Taiwan. So that's a massive geopolitical risk for them, because if China invades Taiwan, or there's a major earthquake, or if US-China tensions escalate and Taiwan becomes a flashpoint, then NVIDIA's entire supply chain could collapse overnight, right? Yep. So having this backup manufacturing option in the US is smart. It's essentially risk management here. The only problem with all of this is that Intel's foundry isn't proven yet. Okay, so their most advanced process, called 18A, which I think is 1.8 nanometers, I think. Yeah. It's impressive on paper, but hasn't demonstrated the manufacturing yields and reliability that TSMC consistently delivers. And just some numbers here, that early reports suggested that 18A yields were around 20 to 30% compared to TSMC's 60% on their comparable process. So that's pretty much the difference between making money and losing billions, just to kind of put that in perspective. So NVIDIA's kind of hedging here, right?
Yeah, and they're hedging, but they're also expanding. Right? They're hedging, but they're also saying, hey, the future of server CPUs is ours as well.
Yeah.
And that's a market that they're not in right now, and they can be. And with Intel on their side and maybe fixing it, they can get these things moving forward. So it's a risk, yeah, but I mean, I think if you want to move to any different manufacturing facility, it's a risk. And I think with the weight of the US government behind it and companies like NVIDIA, people are starting to see that tariffs or supply chains can be disrupted overnight due to, like I said, tariffs or other stuff, or war or what have you, political strife.
Yeah.
And that can really impact your bottom line, and you don't want that to happen. So I think, COVID, among other things, really highlighted some of those, and making sure that, we can be self-sufficient in North America definitely is a interest of governments these days, and I think it should be.
I agree. Yeah.
So what do you think about this deal? Is this an exciting inflection point, integrating AI platforms, moving from niche to mainstream? Are we going to see better laptop CPU and server CPU, GPU combinations driving stuff going forward? Are you looking forward to the next Intel / NVIDIA powered computer combo? Let us know what you think. Oh, okay. Today, we're going to dive into a bold new chapter in computing. Google and Qualcomm's plan to bring Android to PCs, merging mobile intelligence and desktop power. What's going on here, John?
Yeah, so this could what we're going to talk about right now could fundamentally change the PC market. Google's officially bringing Android to laptops and desktops. And Qualcomm CEO has said he's already seen it running and it's incredible. So this is Android ecosystem like Apple's ecosystem. This is what they're doing. So let's dive into what they're actually doing, because this really matters. So they're not abandoning Chrome OS entirely. And they're not just putting Android on a laptop. Instead, what they're doing, they're kind of rebaselining the technology. So think of it like renovating a house. So the Chrome OS experience you see and interact with stays largely the same, but the foundation underneath gets completely rebuilt using Android's underlying technology. So why does that matter? So because Android has years of development in AI integration, a massive app ecosystem with millions of developers already building for it, and runs on ARM processors, which are way more power efficient than the traditional x86 chips from Intel and AMD. So by merging the two, Google gets the best of both worlds. They get the laptop productivity features that made Chromebooks successful in schools and businesses, plus the massive Android app library and AI capabilities. So think of it like iOS, Mac OS, all kind of similar underlying. And now it's all going to be kind of one cohesive ecosystem, right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Android has struggled against the Apple iPhone MacBook integration, and this is kind of their answer to that, because they don't cross your Windows over here, or your Linux, or your Mac, or what have you, and then your Google, and they don't. The apps don't cross like they should. They don't connect like they should. And now with something like this, we're going to see that move forward a fair bit. I think Chrome OS was interesting, but because it was its own separate thing, it was kind of doomed to fail.
Yeah, I agree.
And the hardware they came out looked interesting. I had a Chrome OS. I have one around here somewhere, but like a low end Samsung one. You could do a bunch of stuff with it, but you couldn't do everything. And with developers not wanting to learn multiple operating systems, multiple development platforms, it never really got off the ground from developers building apps and stuff for it. So moving to an Android-based operating system where you have, a well-developed developer ecosystem that can now move either apps or develop directly for these things, really open up new market. Is this for me? Probably not.
Yeah, and Google's openly admitting they're trying to replicate Apple's ecosystem advantage, right? Here's the thing is Google is succeeding where Windows failed. Windows has a great operating system, but they failed with their mobile ecosystem. Windows had an opportunity, but they failed their opportunity. And now Google has that option to make everything work seamlessly together. And I hope they do it right.
Well, I think they realize that AI is the new search. And that means they need to get their AI on as many devices as possible. And if they can start doing the PC market as well, this is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because, their whole money stream comes from search. So as search starts to get eaten up by AI, they really need to have their AI play in place so that anytime you're using an Android device, you're using Gemini AI and you're getting served up answers from Google that Google's getting paid for, and Google gets to keep their money train going.
Yeah. So my question to you is, should Microsoft be afraid?
Yes and no. I mean, Microsoft should be afraid that they are no longer seen in what I would call a dominant light. I talk to many Windows users and they look at my MacBook with envy. Okay. And I think it's just because, they feel like Windows is bloated, it's slow, it's all these things. And I like to say the grass is always greener on the other side. So people, I wouldn't have those, like they have their mind set on this versus that. And so when you talk about keeping people together and their ecosystem together, Windows isn't top of mind. So I think people are willing to try something else. So if they can come in with a decent price point with a decent working machine, I think they'll get a lot of adoption, because a lot of people don't care if it's Windows anymore. Where I would say 10 years ago, you wanted Windows for your work machine for
Yeah.
99% of the population, unless you're doing graphic art or other things. There's very specific things. You wanted Windows.
Yeah.
Now I think that's changed. That's changed so much that's why I think they should be afraid, and they're not keeping up. I feel they're falling
No.
behind.
Yeah, they're making stupid decisions like this Windows 10 stuff and all that other stuff, and the limitations with Windows 11. Like,
so we'll see. They're obviously knowing that AI is everything, and they're putting their recall features in AI and everything that people don't.
they're forcing features that people hate too. Like, yeah.
And so we'll have to see how it works out. But the forcing AI, because AI is the new search, and that's a whole piece of the pie that people want. I want the search pie. I want the money related to search, so everybody's going after it.
Yeah.
And AI is bigger because it's not just search, it's all these other things, and I want that pie too.
Yeah.
Again, we've talked about this before. Most of the AI companies aren't profitable, so we're going to see over time, and we're starting to see more and more of the AI bubble is going to burst because the investment has been too much. People are not going to get their money back, all of them. So there's going to be some disruption over time, because you're not going to get your return on investment for Grok and for OpenAI and for Anthropic and for Perplexity and for Cohere and for, like, they have to things have to get together. Then you have all these development companies, Cursor, Lovable, Bolt, that, you got our $200 a month package or this or that. The AI companies want that money. So they're, as you can see, Claude with Claude Code and OpenAI with their Codex and a few other things, they're going after that. And I said this at a couple of my meetups a while ago, and people looked at me, and a lot of people agreed as soon as I said it. Said, yeah, don't count on those being around forever, because the big boys are going after that market because they need that money to power their AI stuff.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see, what's going to shake out here. But I think this is a good thing, because I think more competition is better especially when it's an existing ecosystem that allows you to immediately have a base of apps and users out there that understand, can code, and can use the platform.
I agree. Yeah, I think if Windows wants to survive, like, obviously they have the enterprise market with their servers and all that sort of stuff, but I think Linux and Unix are slowly creeping in there too. But like, I know that, like, most companies nowadays are Windows, but Mac again is creeping up on that as well with a lot of features. So I think Microsoft really needs to go back to the fundamentals and rework and come up with a brand new operating system if they want to compete and succeed.
Yeah, and side note, they need to get the bloat, the adware, the bloat, all the extra shit that's in there. Sorry for swearing, but I used to run a version of Windows called Windows Black. Do you remember that? Did you ever use that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I loved it. It stripped out all the crap, anything that, all the bloatware, and it was fast and it ran great. And it wasn't an official version. But I figured if I had my key, it didn't really matter and all that stuff. But that's neither here nor there. But it was great. And they need to get back to the basics with cut the bloatware out, give people what they want, and start really focusing on performance.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Are you interested in the Android ecosystem? Will you be jumping on this? This is a fast-moving shift that could redefine what a computer is. So stay tuned to see what happens next and how this could all reshape things. And let us know if you're waiting for a Android PC happening in 2026. Today, we're talking about a breakthrough that let scientists simulate the entire universe on a regular laptop. What once required multi-million-dollar supercomputers can now be done by researchers, students, and even curious enthusiasts over everyday hardware. I feel this is a little like the Man in Black scene where they opens up his locker and there's a world of millions of things inside there. It's like, oh, okay. Like now we got universes inside of universes now. And well, John, tell me what's going on here.
Yeah, this is cool. And yeah, that's exactly it. Like maybe this finally proves that we're in a simulation. Who knows? But so they've created this tool called effort.jl, and it can simulate the large scale structure of the universe on a regular laptop in just minutes, which is, like you said, something that previously required supercomputers running for days or weeks. So just to kind of put things into perspective, the universe is organized like a cosmic web, with galaxies forming clusters, which combine into superclusters, creating massive filaments with empty voids between them, and so on and so forth. Understanding this structure requires combining physics theories with telescope observations using complex models like the effective field theory of large-scale structure. So these models, as you can tell by what I've just described here, are incredibly computationally expensive. So Effort.jl, just think of it like an emulator, like your video game emulators and things like that, but much more complex. It uses neural networks to learn the patterns of these complex models and reproduce the results with the same accuracy, sometimes even better, but running 100, 1,000 times faster on ordinary hardware. So think of it like this. The full model is like describing every atom where water moves, which is impossible. Instead, Effort.jl learns the big picture patterns and shortcuts the calculations. So the breakthrough itself is coming at a perfect time, since upcoming astronomical surveys like DESI and Euclid are going to generate exponentially more data than that's going to need analyzing. So this tool has actually been validated extensively and published in the Journal of Cosmology and Astroparticle Physics, which showing that it matches or exceeds the original model's accuracy while giving access to cosmic simulation capabilities. I think this is amazing. What do you think about this?
The concept is really amazing. I mean, the more we, I mean, if it feels like, you know, the same thing as a large language models. You know, you get a 40 billion parameter, an 800 billion parameter, a trillion parameter, that they figured out how to cram more parameters in a smaller, faster model, so that we can really get a better mapping of the universe. I have to be realistic. Obviously, it's not going to be all that accurate because we're still learning all sorts of things that change our fundamental understanding of universal physics and how things go. Every day we get new stuff from the James Webb Telescope telling us, hey, guess what? You think you need to rethink what you think about the universe. But
exactly.
That aside, I think this is an amazing concept. And the fact that students could potentially run this on their laptop because it's open source, you can go out and grab it off GitHub and off you go. And the more you make this type of information available and these tools available, the more our science and our technology moves forward. So again, I don't know off the top of my head what really going to come from the effective field theory of large scale structures with the Effort.jl system. You know, like what are the outcomes we're actually going to get as a society. But I really think this is cool.
Yeah. My concern is that because we're learning of that certain things are breaking physics rules and things like that, how easily is it going to be able to update to accommodate those new learnings, kind of thing, right? But this really matters because of DESI, which is, it's something about the dark energy, something I can't remember what it stands for, but there's already a lot of data out there, and without this emulator, we'd be drowning in observations that we couldn't fully utilize. So now researchers are going to be able to run thousands of analysis to test different theories about dark energy, dark matter, and cosmic evolution, which is really cool. So the thing about this is it represents a broader trend, and we've touched on this a little bit, where machine learning augments rather than replaces traditional physics modeling, right?
Yeah, and using AI and potentially quantum, depending on, you can start analyzing things at such a rapid level that we wouldn't necessarily be able to test because we didn't have the models or the time or the data analytics to pour through all this stuff for let's do 1,000 tests overnight. We couldn't do that before. Now you can press a trigger and off it goes. And we read about that scientist who said hey, do your research, and went away and came back and said he almost exactly came back with its paper that he had developed that spent him how many years to develop. And there's no way his AI could have access because it wasn't published, wasn't on the same computer, blah, blah, blah. And like, he was shocked at how good it did. Like, I think we're making huge bounds forward. And when you talk about DESI, that's dark energy spectroscopic instrument, and Euclid generate massive data sets requiring sophisticated analysis tools. So the more you can get into it. But I'm really excited because you can do a lot of things with it. But I sit back and say, I go back to my mantra that all computer models are wrong. Some are useful. And I say that because there's no way that we can simulate all the features of a universe. There's no way we simulate all the patterns of a weather pattern to know which ways go. That's why the weather's wrong most of the time, because there's too many variables for us to calculate and to put in a simulation. But we're getting better and better and better and better at these things. So the more the universe at a laptop, I wonder, what have you sacrificed? That's all I'm
very
saying.
True. Yeah.
But I think having these tools allows deeper analysis, and from what we're learning, that just becomes a software upgrade at some point. As physics get proven, we can add more theories and more laws, quantum and normal, into this operating system and with data sets, and just use it as an upgrade.
Yeah. So to address your point about what are we losing? Can we trust the shortcut?
Yeah.
Apparently, the research team spent significant effort validating effort.jl against both simulated data, where they knew the right answers, and real astronomical observations. And it matched the original model's accuracy and sometimes even provided finer detail, because the full model has to make its own shortcuts to run at all. So based on the validation, it seems like we're good, but again, I know you're skeptical.
I have to be skeptical because let's face it, there's no way. There's no way. But we're getting closer, and I'm the better we get.
There's no way, but okay, there's no way that you should be able to compress a file.
Well, yeah, but I mean, just say there's no way we've encapsulated all the possibilities of the universe in this thing that we're going to count. I feel like they say we validate against past stuff. It's like every theory, a new stock market person, an algorithm they come up with based on past stuff, and it passes all past stuff, but it still doesn't work going forward because new stuff comes out. That's all I'm saying is you're not. We're applying it at a certain level and it works at this level, but doesn't necessarily, it's not the same as applying all the same scientists and whatever and logic when a new thing comes in and saying, oh, wait a minute, this is new. How do we, however, we'll see. We don't. And again, that's why I say from simulations, like we have billions of dollars in computers tracking weather, and yet we don't get it right. So that's just one little aspect of the universe, like just this tiny thing. That's what I mean by it's impossible to think of all these things. But putting all of that aside, the more we know and the more we can put to it and the more we can get in front of people, the more we can test these theories and the more we actually come a better understanding of the universe, and things get better. That's why I say we get better with versioning. We get better as we go forward, and it's just accelerating. It used to take us years to come new discoveries. And like I said, it's almost every day we're getting something new, saying, oh, this is challenging this and this is challenging that. And so things are happening so much faster. We have so much processing power with AI and supercomputing now. This stuff is great. Now we can get it down to a laptop level and apply. Anybody with a laptop and some basic AI can start throwing stuff at it now. Great, because that just means we're really down to the cost of somebody running an analysis on a tool used to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now it's down to pennies. So
Yeah.
now we can do so much more, and we'll have so many more people doing it as a result of that, and we'll have massive breakthroughs.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about these cosmic things? Is this an excited leap in democratizing science, putting the whole cosmos in a laptop? The universe is no longer locked behind supercomputing centers. It's something that anyone can explore. The future of cosmology just became accessible, faster, and far more collaborative. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Let's dive into OpenAI Sora 2 and how it transforms text into video, why it's stirring legal and creative debates, and what its arrival means for creators and society.
Yeah.
So they just launched this. I've seen lots of videos from Sam Altman and stuff doing some crazy stuff, but apparently they're really going at this video copyright situation. Tell me what's going on here.
Yeah. So this creates incredibly realistic 10-second videos from just simple text prompts, like typing a video into existence kind of thing, right? But the controversy that you just touched on is the app can generate videos featuring copyrighted characters like Mickey Mouse or Spider-Man by default, unless Disney, Marvel, or other studios specifically ask OpenAI to block their content. It's like having a magic wand that can create any video you can imagine by using it. You're going to step on some very powerful toes in Hollywood, and I'm curious to see what the repercussions are going to be. But the thing is this represents Sora 2 represents a shift in content creation. It's fundamental, actually, from a world where you needed cameras, actors, and studios, and we'll talk about that in a bit, or in another episode. But this is one where you just need an imagination and a smartphone. So this copyright controversy could reshape how intellectual property works in the AI age. The other cool thing is that the massive leap with Sora 2 is that it can understand real world physics, which is super, super cool. What do you think? Have you used this yet, Craig? And what do you think?
I haven't used it yet. I'm just been busy, but I'm definitely going to try it. And I think it's free to use or lower cost for first few days or something. So get in and try it now. And if you want to try any of that copyrighted stuff, do it now, because Disney and everyone will be on that lickety split. So if you want to take videos with copyrighted material, my advice, or maybe it shouldn't be my advice because I don't know if it's going to be legal hot water, but maybe you should do it now, not later. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But this, they do is really cool. What I've seen is really cool. I have some ideas. I just have to get, I'm going to be playing around. I'll probably have an AI chatbot working with me today, just thinking about what kind of cool videos I can make as I'm doing other things. I'll just go, what about this? What about that? And we'll create a list. I don't know how you work with AI assistants like that. I'll have 10 AI things open and they'll each be helping me with different things.
Yeah.
There's my coding assistant. There's my thing I'm giving wherever I get errors in my workflows. And this has helped me do documentation. And this one's checking my email. And this one's, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So this is really interesting. The cameo feature opens up new creative possibilities that users can appear in fantastic settings or historical scenarios without expensive production costs. So I was thinking about, hey, maybe today I'll create a video of me doing like that walk around on the CN Tower talking about Toronto Starts or something and see what happens. We'll see if it can do something like that. But it's really interesting. But the world is changing. The cost of video creation, the cost of this stuff, and being able to create short, high quality videos used to be thousands of dollars. Just like our previous thing, we're talking about the cost of doing these calculations of the universe. Same thing with the cost of creating video creation. How long ago was it that you needed a whole team to come out to do stuff?
Yeah,
versus
exactly.
here's my product, Nano Banana, put it on this table, correct the lighting and whatever, and bam, and off you go. You've got some really good product shot. You can say, oh, here's my picture, put me in front of the Google office, and okay, here's me, like, and it'll do those things now if you have so I'm surprised more and more people don't have good headshots, and I'm laughing because I don't have many good headshots myself, where we can really just take our picture and say, get me wearing a suit and do this and do that, and have AI create them for us now. This takes it to the next level. We're talking about video, and we're not talking about the cheesy stuff you see sometimes where it's a person talking or whatever. We're talking about um, high quality, action oriented. I saw somebody doing a test with people wearing spaghetti clothing and other stuff, and then, it can do some amazing things from a prompt.
Yeah,
And all these tools are starting to leapfrog each other. Even the open source ones that you can run on your laptop are getting better and better. They just take way long to run.
yeah.
What have your experiences been? Have you used other video creating tools? How do you think this compares to VO3, for example?
So I haven't used any of them. Like, so I did for a bit. And so here's the thing: is to talk to your point about headshots, right? I think just until recently, up until recently, you couldn't, or at least I didn't know how, and I tried it with a bunch of different models, but you couldn't create a realistic headshot. It had to be animated. It wasn't able to create realistic headshots, and that was up until Grok 3, I think, or Grok 2, or I can't remember, but um, it wasn't able to like take my face and generate my face realistically as a headshot.
I would say it's been probably 6 months. I could be wrong, but yeah, like that capability is less than a year for it to
Yeah,
do it really well, unless you had
yeah,
specialized software that was specifically for that.
yeah,
Yeah, and there's new
but
tools that do it a lot better than older ones.
yeah. But yeah, no, I haven't messed around with them. I haven't had the time. I did play around with HeyGen, which is different, which I actually liked quite a bit. But none of these video generation tools. I don't have that imagination, and I haven't had the time to mess around with it. I'd love to, but what are like? Have you messed around with? I think you messed around with Neo Banana, right?
Yeah, I read around with Nano
Or
Banana,
Nano Banana?
VO2. I've done a little with VO3, but not a lot. Doing these things that you have to be creative. You have to do them right. Like if you want to look your image to look properly in a setting, you really have to give it the soft light prompt, make everything match. There's some things you really kind of get it to do the integration right to get them to look nice.
Yeah,
But so just Google around the searches to make that happen, and you'll see some prompts that'll really narrow you in on that. But from a video perspective, they are getting better, and I will try this. But it's goes back to, you really need to have a creative instinct. You can detail some really good stuff, and then because they usually only generate 10 or 20 seconds, you've got to then stitch a bunch of things together. You can now give it an opening frame and a closing frame, so it'll transition people from, say, sitting at a cafe to walking down the street, and it'll
mhm,
build that in between and keep the characters consistent. So it's way better than it used to be. And allows you to put the characters in and give it the images for each one and all that kind of stuff, where before it wouldn't allow you to do those types of things. So I love what we're doing here, and we are changing the world. Like 6 months ago, we weren't able to do great headshots, and the video has come along so much. What's it going to be in a year? I'm
yeah,
starting to we're seeing trailers, and we're seeing actual movies, and I'm watching more and more of AI created videos online, specifically not the typical ones you've seen, but the one I like right now recently is like there's a stormtrooper blog, a vlog where these two stormtroopers are out doing stuff, and they're like 10-second clips of them video and what's going on and what have you, and it all put together, and it looks really good, and they do a really good job. But the problem with that, it takes a lot of work. If you want to put all those, it'll every video is not going to be usable. You have to throw half of them out. Then you got to stitch them together. Then you got to make sure the music on, like, it's a lot of work, and you and I don't have the time for that. But if you're a video person, because it's so much easier than it used to be, it's not a lot of work for you because you have the tools, you have the stuff to mash this stuff together, and away you go.
Yeah.
But it's so much easier. We're going to have the landscape of creativity is changing. All of social media is going to change with the fact that how much video, how much images, whatever we can create, we can imagine we can create now. And that means we're going to be overstimulated with all this stuff, and there's going to be a lot of noise to signal, and we'll have to figure out how to break through. But the tools are going to be better movies, better entertainment, better this. Hollywood will no longer have the keys to the kingdom for making high quality digital effects in movies.
Well,
So
yeah, that's the thing. Industry analysts are suggesting that this could lead studios to move from a production model to a rights management model, which potentially means making deals where AI generated content featuring branded characters generates revenue for studios.
Yeah, and that's an interesting way to go. But how long till their branded content's no longer relevant? It seems like a poking your hole in the dam. We've got all this historical characters, but we're not really creating any new characters that are better or great. So we only have this old catalog. Like, they are creating new characters, but at the same time, when people have tools like this, they'll be creating their own characters. So the only people think you can license out Mickey Mouse, you can license out all these other things, great. But to me, that will be a diminishing return model. We'll get something bump at first, and then slowly they'll become less and less relevant. So sounds like it's a Hollywood dying model or a studio dying model rather than a long-term. If they can get the creative piece where we could still create content that actually resonates with people and new iconic brands and characters that then we can license out to people and keep that going, great. But I don't see, let's Marvel as an example. They just keep failing because no one's interested in their new characters. We want their old characters. They just haven't really sold the new characters well. It's just the way it is. Writing, storyline, this and that. Just
except that new one that just came out, which was really good. Thunder. Anyways, that was a good one with newer characters.
Thunderbolts.
Well,
I mean, none of those characters are new.
Well, to me they are, but yeah.
Like they're again, and they're all B cast, and it failed in the box office. Like, people like the movie.
I thought it did well in the box office.
It still lost money. They all lost money this year. It's just crazy, except for maybe Deadpool from a superhero movie.
Okay.
And so that's why they're losing it. People aren't all that interested, and they're trying to make the new Black Widow happening, and people just aren't glomming onto it. Right? It's just the funny thing about
fatigue with a lot of this stuff.
And anyway, back to, I don't know how we got.
That's on you. No,
I forgot to change this. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I missed that. It's just funny. Like there's some fight going on right now with Mickey Mouse free use and all this sort of stuff. So, but we don't need to touch on that. But yeah, there's a bunch going on. But this is interesting. I like that it's now solved the physics problem, the breakthrough with physics, the multimodal integration, the identity protection kind of innovation. I think this is really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about where this is going to go. It is changing the rules about copyright and lawsuits, so we'll have to see where all that ends up. But I'm definitely excited. This is more than a toolkit, like Opsora, VO3, all these things. These are tectonic shifts. We're at the frontier of creativity, law, identity, and truth. So stay curious and stay cautious and get ready for the next chapter of media. It's being written by AI, and being on the forefront of these things now, is the next Spielberg going to be using these tools to create the next generation of stuff, and they're in high school or grade school now. Mm-hmm. Let us know what you think. Actually, we'll wait for that one to the last one, just because I don't think it's as interesting as these.
Yeah, I have a hard stop at 9:30.
Yeah, that's what I figured. We put a bunch in here. Speaking of AI, today we're talking about a boundary-pushing, controversial development, the debut of Tilly Norwood, an AI-generated actress created by Zyoka Particle 6 and what this means for entertainment, creativity, and human talent. Tell us, John, what is Tilly Norwood?
So Hollywood's pissed. And they're in an uproar over Tilly Norwood, which is an AI-generated actress, which it's created by some Dutch producer. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. Eline van der Velden. I tried it before, but so Tilly herself looks like a real 22-year-old woman with wavy brown hair and has been posting on Instagram since February of 2025 and reportedly being courted by real talent agents for representation. So think of it as someone creating a completely fake person using AI, giving her personality and career aspirations, then trying to get her actual acting jobs that would normally go to real people. So the thing is it's not this whole controversy. It's not just about one AI character because it represents a fundamental threat to human creativity and livelihood, essentially. So Tilly was created using AI trained on thousands of real actors' performances without their consent or compensation. And so major Hollywood stars like Emily Blunt, Whoopi Goldberg, Sophie Turner have condemned the project, with Ralph Ineson delivering the most succinct response, F off. But in a broader context, this is erupting just 2 years after the 2023 Hollywood strikes, where AI protections were a central demand from SAG-AFTRA. So they've issued a scathing statement calling Tilly not an actor, but rather a character generated by a computer program that was trained on the work of countless professional performers without permission or compensation. So I know in another episode we touched on Sora generating copyrighted characters and things like this, and now we've got this AI actor or quote unquote actor. What do you think about this? Is this the way that things are going now, or is this going to get nipped in the bud?
This is the way things are going. I think that the world is disillusioned by actors and the whole Hollywood process. And so Hollywood can kick and scream and say whatever they want, but the cat's out of the bag with the new tools that are available and the consistent generating. I was looking for the video and I couldn't find it while we were chatting, so I could bring up her reel of the Tilly Norwood. Basically, it's a clip reel that some actor or actress would send a media when they're applying for a job of the actress in various roles, a few seconds being in, a medieval setting and then being here and then being, and it looks really interesting. So it was showing you how AI could create consistent characters across genres, settings, and all that kind of stuff. And we're really seeing a push forward. Now, AI actors and actresses aren't going to make political statements that sink your movie. AI actors and actresses aren't going to go out and do something while they're drunk or on drugs or sexual harass people and get in legal trouble. AI actors and actresses aren't going to walk out on their contract and demand double and do so. There is a benefit, or at least a perceived thing, saying, look at what Hollywood's been doing. They're taking sides in every war and every politic thing. They're attacking their fans, saying, if you don't go see my movie, you're this or you're that, rather than embracing the customers to try and get them to come. I think there is an appetite for less of the attitude of actors and actresses, like they deserve our money, and that if we don't go and pay the theaters to watch and all that stuff, that somehow there's something wrong with us. So I think the world needs to change. And so this might just be the wake-up call that they need, saying, you're replaceable, maybe not right now. And will the great actors and actresses the great ones ever be? No, but I bet you the mediocre ones would be.
Yeah. Well, here's the argument, right? It's that acting isn't just about physical appearance or line delivery. It's about bringing lived experience, emotional depth, and creative interpretation to roles, where Tilly can only recombine existing patterns from training data. She cannot create genuinely new artistic interpretations. So I think there is an importance that people know that there's a real human vulnerability and creativity behind performances.
So I would disagree with what you're saying.
Okay, that's fair.
And I would disagree on a number of things because it's AI, it can learn. So you don't just say, okay, I created this actress. There she is. No one touched her. She never learns. She never changes. She's got an emotional scene. I, as an acting coach or as a programmer or whatever, can hook up the video camera and show her how to cry and show her how to do this and show her how to act and show a bunch of different things so people can learn based on the part and other stuff. So I agree. It's not something that they would genuinely be able to go from a realistic past experience like we do, flashing back to when I was young and my mother refused me that candy. Now I always want it, whatever situation. But they can have this be trained. So, and they can do these things and get to another level. Yeah, we're not there yet, but we're leaps and bounds where we were a year ago and, a year before that. And what it costs pennies to create some of this stuff now versus what it used to be. And that's why I think that we go to say, did you ever watch any of the Katie Sackhoff videos where she was talking about filming The Mandalorian?
No, I didn't.
It nearly broke her because she was at a green screen acting with nothing and no one, trying to emote to this and that and whatever. And she really had no sense what was happening, who was there, who was playing opposite to her. And so we're moving to a world where they don't know how to emote because they're not put in a situation with fellow actors to spring off each other. You watch a lot of the Star Wars and whatever, and you can really tell they're in a green screen. And you can really
Actually, all of these new Star Wars shows, they all use these live screens, and it's not green screens anymore. It's the actual scenes are behind them. And The Mandalorian was the first one with Jon Favreau to implement that. So it's the actual scenes behind them. It's not green screen anymore.
I go back to shows like The Acolyte and say, okay, there's so many errors in that show that are not related to the script or whatnot. For example, this is just an example. They were tracking a spaceship. They're in a fight, and the person in the gunnery chair, whatever, says, "I lost them." And yet you see the ship right there in the center of the thing on the digital thing in the background. Like that is superimposed by a graphics person after that, screws over the whole scene. That happens so many times where what actually is happening in the background didn't really match what the character was emoting, and they just had no choice because they didn't know. Like, what do you mean you lost them? And they're right there on the screen. We can all see them. They're right there. And the visual effects guy didn't really sync with it. Oh, you just gotta have a ship going across the, and people don't. That's what I'm talking about. You can tell that they're green screen, and they don't. You when they're not emoting and they're not, it's usually because they're not playing off another actor a lot of times, because you're like, wow, that's flat. Like this major thing just happened, and you're like, yeah, that sucked. Let's go. Like what? Because you're not. So it's happening already.
Yeah.
But I agree that they are starting to bring it back to special effects because practical effects, because they're getting burned. We saw the practical effects of something like Godzilla -1 cost $13 million to make, and it went gangbusters, and the practical effects were great, and things like, do you know that in the Brave New World, or the Captain America, the new Captain America, his sunglasses are CGI'd. He won't even wear practical sunglasses anymore. Like this is so they have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars CGIing sunglasses on his face as he walks around.
Yeah.
Like this is kind of insane. Rather than, like, we've gone to a level of we need to bring it back, and they are bringing it back. But the problem with Hollywood is they're screwed because everyone in Hollywood knows the Hollywood system. So everyone in Hollywood screws everyone else over. And I'll give you a short example, and then we'll move on because we're running out of time. you're set to shoot a set on this location, everything's paid for, you're done, and you show up, and let's say it's a bar, and the bar owner says, yeah, we're going to double the cost. And they're like, what? Well, yeah, you're going to have to pay us another 50 grand for this. And they're like, everyone's here, you're on standby. It's, thousands and thousands of dollars per minute. You have no choice but to pay. And everybody in the industry knows those things. So everybody's messing over each other and it becomes like more and more expensive. And so that's why they need disruption and stuff. Whether this is the right way, I don't like the fact that actors potentially be out of work and whatnot. I do like the fact that a high school kid can create movies on his laptop and potentially be the next Steven Spielberg. There are a lot of gray areas in this, but I like where the technology is going. And if we can apply it correctly, we can get better, higher quality results across the board, more personalized content, more this, more that, and still keep Hollywood and those alive. But it has to strike a right balance of quality content for the end users. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So let us know what you think. Is this the death knell for Hollywood? You've already moved on, or you're anti-AI all the way? Let us know what you think. What do you got going on, John?
Well, we've got events going on during this month, and just helping companies. We're going to be getting into some busy times, but helping companies secure government funding. How about you, Craig?
Got a lot going on over at flowgrammer.ca, where we do business automation and AI solutions for companies. It's going like gangbusters. We got a lot of events. If you're interested in AI automation, check out flowgrammer.ca. You can check out all our events there. We do community drop-in sessions where everyone just comes around and everyone's vibe coding or building whatever they want. We do sessions where everyone gets together and demos and talks about building and all that kind of stuff. We do online sessions. So check all that out there. But we also run the largest startup community in Canada at torontostarts.com, and at startupdrinksto.com. You can see our startup investor drinks events every month where we get startups and investors together. It's open bar, up and pitch. You have a couple of drinks and you pitch your product or service to the audience. That makes networking way better. It's a great event. Check those out. For everything else, check out torontostarts.com. We do coaching. We do all sorts of stuff. Love to hear from you. Any last words, John?
No, that's it.
All right. So before we say goodbye, comment recommended the Sony CyberShot W800. The problem is the site it landed on, where it's pulling all the statistics from about the camera, is not the Sony CyberShot W800, but some branded knockoff.
Interesting.
Brand is ZHIXIJA. So just wanted to give a quick update there, and we'll continue to play with the comment browser and see where it goes. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks everyone.